When you run a YouTube channel that's dedicated to documenting the decline of the Disney company and its ascension, if that should ever happen again, sometimes you can get into a bubble where you need some hard data in order to find out whether or not all this anecdotal evidence is just your own thoughts. Well, it looks like Rasmussen has a survey out, and it seems that Disney has lost 30% of its audience strictly due to controversial topics. Let's talk about that on That Park Place.
You know who's not having such a beautiful morning, though, especially after these results? It'd be the Walt Disney Company. Here we go, our first story of the day. Disney has lost over 30% of its audience due to embrace of divisive identity politics. According to survey, audiences have had enough of the Mouse House.
I think that's genuine. I think you're right, and I think this headline's right on point. Thank you, Marvin. Wow, 30%. That's a lot.
Let's get into the details on this one. This by Marvin Montanaro, as pointed out by Culture Casino right here, January 10th, 2025. Here we go. In a damning new survey conducted by Rasmussen Reports and provided to That Park Place, the entertainment giant Disney is facing a harsh reality. Its embrace of divisive identity politics and abandonment of traditional family values is driving audiences away in droves. The survey conducted from January 5th to the 7th, 2025 sampled 1,408 American adults and revealed a startling trend. Nearly a quarter of respondents, 23%, admitting to avoiding Disney movies in the past year because of the company's political leanings. An additional 9% were unsure, bringing the total potential losses of the audience to 32%. Now, people might think Rasmussen, they think, you know what, that's a biased firm. That's no good. No good, Culture. I'll tell you what, Rasmussen, last election, they got every single swing state within about 1%. They're pretty good. Culture. Your thoughts on all this?
You know, it's funny. I think you probably picked the best of them all, the best of all the survey companies out there. You know, they're going to give you the actual breakdowns based on a mathematical model that seems to work. So this is all based on math. You got the right algorithm, you're going to get the right answer. And if this is the case where you've got, 23% of your audience, that's, almost a quarter of your audience for your films not showing up, that explains a lot about profitability, about the loss of interest in anything this company produces. And if you are the largest studio of the big five out there, this is not good news for you. And it shows that having a political bias in everything that you do, from theme parks and television and everything else that they do, that's a really bad plan. And I think that the fallout is, as this particular subheadline here says, I think that's really affected their bottom line, and it will going forward. Because once you lose, interest or are no longer a fan of a certain property because of very poor decisions, there's no coming back from that. I mean, just look at the deterioration of Star Wars and Marvel. I mean, That's all bad.
It really is tragic. The deterioration of Star Wars and Marvel are particularly cataclysmic, especially Marvel. I mean, Marvel was once, it went from a valuation of about $4 billion, some people saying that was actually overvalued, to a valuation, I believe, estimated somewhere in like the $50 billion range. I mean, just an unbelievably juggernaut of a franchise. And now, we're going to be going over some Marvel stuff in the future here coming out. But, people aren't necessarily lining up in droves with the company's products. That's concerning. Let's go ahead and put that financial fallout, though, in perspective. Using the average U.S. movie ticket price of $10.70 in 2024, the 51.8 million viewers Disney potentially alienated translates to a loss of $558.5 million in annual movie ticket sales. This figure represents over $500 million in missed revenue, a devastating blow for the company. And this is even compounded even further when you talk about PLFs and their impact on the box office results, right? Dolby, IMAX, all of that kind of stuff. The Rasmussen survey results provides further insights into the audience demographic and the growing divide in Disney's appeal. The survey's sample group consists of 47% men, 53% women, reflecting nearly an even gender split. Politically, 34% of respondents identified as Democrats, 29% as Republicans, 37% as other, including independents and those unaffiliated with a major party. Clearly, you might have, a Republican-leaning result here. But Culture, it's even worse. Can you imagine this? It gets even worse than this. And this encompasses people across the political spectrum when you look at the raw percentages here. And we're going to go over to Breitbart, not to get political on this channel. They just have the headline, they have the results. But here you go. This is the same poll that reflected this data that you see on your screen right here.
Wow.
There you go. Breitbart.
Wow.
Only 16% of Americans say Disney content is better than it was in the past.
Yeah, that's
16%.
yeah. I think you're doing something wrong if 84% of the population is saying you're not making good things anymore, because that's actually what that result is. It's basically
Yes.
because it's not better. I don't think it's even on par. And I think that's probably largely, especially across the demographics we're talking about. That is the demographics of America: 53% women, 40%, 7% men. The numbers that Rasmussen put out there was in favor of Democratic voices rather than Republican voices, but the result comes out to what people would be calling right wing. Well, unfortunately, Disney went political, so now Disney is a political body. So all that's going to be thrown at them until they figure a way out of this is political issues. Now they are a hot button, a firebrand, but not for a positive reason. They're at the center of constant controversy. And and of course, the balance of the people that have walked away or that think the content is terrible will be more conservative. But if you're getting this result across the board and 84% of the people are unwilling to admit it's gotten better, then that tells you it's worse. Because if it's on par, that's a different conversation. But anyway, sorry.
No, I think you're fine. I think that commentary is well justified, especially with these stunning results right here. The days when the Walt Disney Company churned out instant classics beloved by successive generations appear to be squarely behind it, with only 16% of Americans saying Disney content is better today than it was in the past, and nearly half saying it was worse. A new Rasmussen poll asked participants if entertainment from Disney is better or worse than what they remember in the past. Just 16% said it was better, while a full 47% said it was worse. A public relations disaster for the studio. 29% said that Disney entertainment had improved, while 8% were unsure. A full 65% of Republicans believe Disney entertainment has gotten worse, according to the poll. Yeah, only 65% of Republicans, which, by the way, that means that the rest is made up by the opposite side of that political spectrum right there. So it's across the political aisle here, and it's at this point it is believed. This is a unanimous decision almost that Disney content has really gotten worse, and I think culture beautifully lays it out when the company decided to get political, especially with its content creation. It's one thing if a company itself is political. Maybe they donate to political action committees and so forth. Maybe they have, their biases behind the scenes. But when you start making that the face of your company, both in its appearance company wide and through its content generation, well, the results, they speak for themselves. 71% want Disney to return to family-friendly entertainment. This back in May of 2024, right here. This is. I think this is unanimous culture. I think people really want things to improve. Now, Disney, for their efforts, have been rewarded when they have done this. Moana 2, for example, and Inside Out 2, both pictures lacking a lot of these progressive initiatives that we've seen proliferating their content in recent years. And I think the box office turned out how you can expect, given that they've kind of stepped back a little bit. Culture, are they on the path to recovery here? Is there turning around for this company?
Is there a turning around? There's always a turnaround available to the largest studio out there. But again, under current leadership and the idea that none of these story matters types of groups have left their studios. Like, Disney has their story group with Lucasfilm. They have the Stories Matter group, which is in control of the content in the theme parks, which is incredibly destructive, as we've seen with Tiana and other things like that. I think until they get rid of the imported, neo Marxist, I'm sorry, there's no other way to describe it, kind of mindset there. They're stuck. They're stuck in a rut, and they can make content changes or pull out offensive to some scenes that they do. And they've, it's not like they haven't already considered that this isn't going to be appealing to the broadest audience, because they always leave the ability for them to pull things out that China won't like or the Middle East won't like or whatnot. So it's these are willful decisions, and until they change their quote unquote willful decisions, I don't think there's an easy path back. But when they do, you ask me the question, can they recover? Yeah, they just have to get rid of all this stuff that really is divisive, because it is.
Yep. That's literally, it's that simple. I mean, keep the stuff out of the content that is divisive. Put more stuff that is unifying within your content, and I think people will come back. It's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of time to earn people back, and it's going to take a lot of investment to do that properly. But they can turn around. It's just, man, are they willing to? That's the thing. Are they willing to? We've seen that they're willing to in certain divisions within the company, but can this be a holistic effort? Remains to be seen.
Yeah,
that is for sure.
Yeah.
Before we get to our next story, we have a member, Great Months, chiming in on the conversation. Ken Reinhardt. Disney says they have only misplaced the audience. I see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're around here somewhere. I mean, just
we got to find them.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it's their fault they got lost, right? It's not our fault as Disney. See, that's the problem with the thinking there at that company. It's like, we deserve this audience. We own this audience. No, you don't. The audience shows up for good things. You stopped making good things.
It's that simple, guys. It's that simple. Make stuff that people want to see. You'll get them back. Yeah. If you make stuff that only a certain percentage want to see, maybe you'll get that audience, but you'll lose a lot in the process right there. Don't think about the audience you might gain. Think about the audience you might lose when you do stuff like that.
And that's largely the problem, right? They went looking for this fictional modern audience, and they're okay, we're increasing our presence to the less than 1% of humanity that might appreciate this, this garbage that we've soiled our pants with. And while that isn't usually a good marketing technique, you need to consider who you'll lose. And they lost everybody else, or not everybody else, but a giant chunk of people. If we're talking, these are huge numbers, over 30%, when you're talking 84% of an audience that doesn't think you make better material now. The audience feedback is in front of you. And it should be terrifying if you're a megacorp like Disney, because your profitability is based on the broadest reach that you can acquire. And now you've decreased the amount of people you appeal to. It's simple economics. You've got to appeal to the fan base you have for these properties. And that's one of the reasons why I think it could be argued we're seeing the forecast for films like Captain America Brave New World already falling from where they were initially predicted to be, as far as the forecast.
We're going there.
Oh, I know we are. So, but no, like I said, we're in a preview. There's a reason why these things are happening, right? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. There's an absolute reason why these things are happening. And here's the thing, Culture. They either knew and didn't care, or they didn't know. Whichever one is true. I mean, that's disturbing. But really highlights the mindset of the company and how they've approached this content here. And it's just tragic.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.